So we recently started this new segment. It's called I named it. I think Story Showdown is kind of like a good name for it. So we take characters from a different series and we put them in a whole new surrounding, whether it's a different series of movies, TV show, video game, or whatever, and we kind of see how that how that would either affect the characters or change the characters, if that makes any sense. So last week we did Teen Titans, and this week we did Legend of Korra villains. So that's Amon, that's Kuvera, that's what's the Airbender dude's name?
Right
Is
here?
you know what I mean? So yeah, so I'll let you go first.
Oh yeah, because yours is elite, huh?
I mean, no, I'm just saying, I'll let you go first,
So the shows that I picked was Shaolin Showdown and Legend of Korra. I think it would be a good mix up because they both deal with elements and a lot of the characters have like special abilities that I feel like would mix well with the core world. So let me start off. So long ago in China, there was a monk who lived and trained with warriors who were made to save the world. People born and suited for combat and hold the ability to control the elements that reside in nature. One boy in particular, who was born to become a Shaolin bender, was a man named Amoy. After years of training with the master Fuka, master of the dragon elements, benders, through life, Amoy was a loner who had no parents but was brought and raised by the monks. He was the first out of his team to be considered the dragon warrior and seeks to lead the new companions that were said to work alongside. Right here, the Brazilian street smart kid who was found in the streets of Rio, playing soccer in the slums, living life of crime. He would still just survive the poor side of Rio, and some would say he was the Robin Hood of Rio, stealing from the rich to feed the poor. His acrobatic skills are unmatched because him along with the family were in the circus. One night, when he was in prison for for robbing a street gangster that worked well with the police, he was full of rage and anger, and suddenly burst the pins of the prison cell of, off its hinges with air tornadoes that suddenly came out of his arm and screaming at the police officer to release him. During that burst, a Shaolin monk arrived to help him. Y bender his Y bender weapon is Windtaker. The weapon allows him to amplify what he carries often amplify air abilities what he carries often with him. Kool-Aid, the girl raised in Texas who was never accepted by her family. In the US, she ended up running away from home with a strong sense of justice on how the world should be. She was known to be the vigilante of Texas, who would fight crime. At her age, she realized that she was able to control Earth around her. It brought fear to the people around her, including her family, who was a highly religious, and the last words she heard from her mother was she should be hanged for being a witch. One night, while she was patrolling the city of Texas, she was brought back by a Shaolin monk who came to search of the witch of Texas. She is known to be the dragon bender of Earth. She has a Y bender weapon known as the Earth Scraper, which allows her to also bend metal when in use. These three characters must save the world, facing a woman named Korra, also known as the Y Bender of all four elements. She has received these abilities through years of research and she she will try to obtain these Y-bender weapons in order to rule the world. These four Shaolin benders obtain these weapons in order to take her down. And that's it.
I explained like your thought process and shit behind creating this and why you chose Showdown and shit.
So the reason why I chose Showdown was because basically they did with elements, and I see that they had like these things called, I think it was called Wii weapons, something like that. I forgot. I haven't seen the show in a long time, but I could imagine like Korra having those type of things. Like it's kind of like a gadget that they can have that they can wield with their elements already. So I feel like just fusing the two together would be better.
So they could use their elements without.
Yeah, they can use their elements without it, but like
it
enhances them. So like Kool-Aid wouldn't be able to metal bend without the weapon that she has, and then basically, Bahir wouldn't be able to like take flight or like do stuff without the weapon that he has. Like he can use it as like a way for him to create himself to fly, and also Amoy basically he wouldn't be able to blood bend basically without the weapon that he has.
What weapon is that?
I don't see it on here right now. I don't know what happened to my shit, but it's not on here.
Dig it. I can dig it. Kuvera?
Huh?
Kuvera? That's Kuvera?
Yeah, that's Kuvera right there.
And then that is
Zaire. Yeah, right here is Zaire. Amoy is Amon.
Okay.
Yeah.
I dig it. I can dig it. Alright, let me see if I can pull my shit up. Let me show y'all, a real master does it. When it comes to storytelling and shit. I go all the way to the side like that. Alright. So this is the prologue. Every 1,000 of years during harmonic convergence, the fate of balance between the spirit world and the mortal plane is tilted left and right with the fight between Rava, the spirit of light and all things good, versus Vatu, the spirit of darkness and all things evil. There will never be light without darkness or darkness without light, but there's always a way to tip the scale. The Avatar is the human embodiment of light. Once a human was permanently fused with Rava, they gained the ability to have complete control of all four elements to protect and keep balance in the world. Once fused, they gained the power to reincarnate every generation. After their last battle, Batu set a plan for his cult followers to use poison to cut the spiritual tie between Rava and the Avatar. And once completed, he will fuse with them and will create a cycle of darkness, death for generations to come. With Rava's ties cut from the Avatar, she uses the rest of her power with the spirits of each element, fire, air, water, and earth, and spreads it to find the strongest people in each nation to combat Korra, the dark Avatar, and the evil forces of Atu. Using the Tree of Life, her energy reached all of the mortal world and teleported 4 of the world's finest benders with the help of all her powers and the forces of nature to become champions of the spirit and mortal world, completely embodying their element, reaching an omega state and becoming something greater. We got Omega Earth, Omega Air, Omega Fire, and Omega Water. And with these powers, they're able to become something greater, which is the elemental Omega Rangers. I saw stuff. Okay, so first off, we have Kuvera, the Omega Yellow Ranger. An Earth Nation military general who grew up prominence from her uniting the Earth Nation after 100 years of chaos caused by Korra. Proficient in her earthbending abilities, that she was able to manipulate metal. Once she reached an Omega state, she was able to move mountains with a single stomp, also able to use metal in her suit to fight and capture enemies. Knowing she was put on Earth for a greater purpose, once Rava reached out to her, she was the first to put her life on the line for her people and the greater good. Reaching her Omega state granted her the ability to summon the Hammer of How-To, which is an Earth elemental god. That's the elemental weapon, the hammer. So we go into Omega Blue homage. As a child, Noatak was a prodigy waterbender and raised to hate the Avatar by his father, Yakone, whose family has been decimated by the evil spirits in the Northern Water Tribe. Being one of the few last remaining members of the tribe, he has a secret technique called bloodbending, which he only used as a last result. The weight that his father put on him and his little brother made him despise bending and everything about it. So he ran away and became a leader of an anti-benders. But after seeing the destruction of what the Avatar has done, he spent his life fighting off the evil spirits without his bending, thinking it was a crutch on his life in the world. Reaching his Omega state gives him the access to the trident of Shui-Nu, which is a water elemental spirit. Yeah, I have the same picture. I picked it both hard. But yeah, the sauce though, dripped out. Come on, Then we got Omega Black, which is Zahir. As the Black Ranger, Zahir wasn't born with as a bender. As a martial artist and a strategist, he was a part of a spec ops team called the Red Lotus to assassinate the Avatar, but failed once she entered the Dark Avatar state and killed all his teammates, just as he escaped by a stroke of luck. A couple years later, a rare celestial event caused normal people to gain the abilities to bend. Once getting his airbending abilities, he saw it as a second chance and practiced and honed his power. He even learned to achieve weightlessness and fly. And with Rava giving him the power of Omega, he knew it was time to face Korra once again. Once reaching his Omega state, he accessed the Fang Bow Kamas. Black Ranger, sauce though, thing, It's crazy. And then we got Omega Red. And so with the Omega Rangers, there's 4 of them. So I had to think of somebody to put in that situation.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, all right, so let me just go with Zuko. Kind of like, he's the good guy in the group. Like, like all 3 of them were kind of like, I guess, bad people. And he was like the good person that Rava was like, yo, I want you to lead them to the greater cause, for a greater cause, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Omega Red, which is Zuko. After leading the Fire Nation during years of countless attacks by the Dark Spirits and Korra, Zuko had never lost faith that the Avatar can be saved. After hearing stories from his uncle about when the Avatar was on the side of light, he dreamed of not seeing it in his generation for his daughter and the next generation. When Rava approached him to lead the team of misfits, he refused and offered his daughter to replace him, but she told him that she believes that he can trust her to lead the Fire Nation while he uses his wisdom and natural abilities to lead the next generation of heroes. Once he enters his Omega state, he gets the blade of Zurong. No. Bad nigga, And then we have Korra, the Dark Avatar. With Vatu corrupting her mind for years and completely taking over Korra, Vatu's essence sways any spirits near him to the dark side, becoming a demon, turning them into dark spirits. His goal is to spread chaos and watch the world burn, and using anything in his power to get rid of Rava and her pesky team of humans, knowing that even if Vatu were to destroy Rava, what little light there was in him would magnify until a reborn Rava bursts forth, beginning the cycle again. For me, that's what she pretty much be like 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 the main villain, like the main like she's sending out people like on some like I forget all the villains from Power Rangers, but you know what I'm talking about. Like Lord Zed and shit like that. Like yeah. She could like create spirits. She sends like armies and shit, like then they all fight and shit, you know? What else do I have? Yeah, edit those pictures. That's just fine.
You edited that in there?
Yeah.
You're a clown. Oh my god.
You feel me? Once they fully become a team, they can astral project the giant Omega spirits to fight giant dark spirits, Korra, and fuses with Batu energy. So the first one is the Hao-Tu spirit. The second one is the Shui Mu spirit, the spirit of water. The next is the Fang Bo, spirit of air. And then we have Zurong, the spirit of fire. You know, they just be banging, boxing niggas, you know? Yeah. Is that it? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so my thoughts behind this was, so the team I wanted to put them as Power Rangers before anything, but the reason why I chose the Omega team is because I don't know if did you used to watch Power Rangers back in the day, like the OG Mighty Morphin?
Yeah.
You know how the black dude left and the Asian girl left, and then Rocky left, the main black dude. So they never explained that in the show, but you know how there's comics, Ranger comics.
Yeah.
So with the comics, those three left for a reason. Like they left to become the Omega Rangers, which kind of like handles like space and shit, like beyond Earth, pretty much.
Okay.
So they left to become the Omega Rangers, and I was like, okay. So they used the elements air, water, fire, so that it was instantly easy to put together. And also, I added in Zuko just because it was kind of like, if you have I'm seeing them as still bad guys. Like no matter even if they're good people or whatever, they're still bad guys. Yeah. So that's why I said she grabs the strongest people, but that doesn't mean they're good people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like them. It's like a group of misfits learning to fight for a greater good. You know what I mean? That's
so
the
like
whole
anti-heroes.
Exactly. Kinda? And then Zuko is the dude who kind of like pushes forward and we gotta work as a team and shit. Like he's that nigga. You know what I mean? Just because he's older doesn't mean he don't know how to fight. Like he's still fighting in Korra. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah. With me, I made all my guys good.
Yeah. So I made them. They're bad people, but with the threat of Korra like becoming too OP, like all three of them were affected by Korra to a degree. So it's like one antagonist will push all of them together to fight for one single goal. Pretty much. That's how I was pretty much pushing it. But yeah, you know, Omega Rangers, you feel me?
This dude's a conflict.
Omega Rangers. Yeah. So yeah, you have any thoughts on what I said?
I think it's interesting because the Power Rangers, I feel like the outfits look fire.
You feel me?
It's a good concept.
Fire concept.
That's a good concept.
Goated. And the fact that Korra, she astral projected and became like a giant. Yeah. So it's kind of like, that's how, I didn't want to be like, oh, they're robots. Like, they astral projected it into becoming giant, like, creatures to fight the evil Korra. I'm assuming she would look like this regular, and then she would look like this when she transforms into the monster. Like, you know what I mean? And my thought of it was Batu didn't allow her to die, so she couldn't be reincarnated. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like she was just like right when Korra became the evil avatar, she just started fucking up everything. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like from season 1 of Korra, before they even introduced all three of those villains are still in the universe. That doesn't mean they just didn't bring them up yet. Just mean they're not like still there. Yeah. So yeah. So that's how I did it, you know? And you can see it when it comes to like the plot where Korra should send out creatures to fuck up a village. These niggas will pull out a fight. Korra might make a monster huge. They turn to a huge nigga fight. Yeah. And you know, it just kind of continues off that.
I could see that. That photo that you picked, that shit was fire, right? I was gonna use that.
Way too hard.
That's his first.
I wanted to think of something with his mask, but I was like, okay, no, man. Yeah,
He looks like you pointed out that originally I was gonna do Tokyo Ghoul. Like he looks like a ghoul. That's why I take that.
I know we thought. Yeah, that probably would have been a better thing to do than the Shaolin.
Yeah.
Just because with the Shaolin thing, it's kind of like the basis of the show is them, of course, them trying to find all the weapons and shit.
Yeah.
But the reason why I chose Power Rangers is because I made them specifically special for them. With the Shaolin thing, I think kind of anybody could have been in that position.
Yeah.
But with the Tokyo Ghoul thing, it kind of would have been like more specific.
I didn't want to pick Tokyo Ghoul because I didn't feel like people were gonna really know it like that. I mean, I was trying to pick shows that people would.
Nah, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, that's why
a more simpler concept.
Yeah,
but I mean, I understand what Tokyo Ghoul is. It's they turn into weapons and shit. Yeah, nah, I get that.
Glamour of wearing diamonds. Diamonds bring status, elegance, and prestige. Their brilliance makes